Today is all about secure authentication using Python and Flask. And by the end of today's video, you guys are going to have your own interactive landing pages as well as an interactive dashboard unique for your users. We are going to include topics not just building out this site, but also including SQL Alchemy to create models and a database to store all your users' information. Today is all about taking your Flask skills and web dev skills up a level with secure authentication. Welcome back, guys, for another episode. Here we are, guys, in another episode of Code with Josh. For obvious reasons, I'm Josh, and I'm stoked to have you guys back. Do me a favor, click the like button, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I'm really glad that you guys are here, and if you enjoy this kind of content, drop me a comment and let me know, right? By liking and subscribing, that helps me, a growing channel, reach more students around the world. As I mentioned, today is all about authentication in Flask. We're taking your skills to the next level. And in today's episode, while you are going to learn different routing with Flask, creating an interactive landing page, as well as a dashboard that's very unique for a specific user, I'm also going to guide you guys through creating a database with SQL Alchemy, as well as a model, a class model to store your user information. And we're also going to include Sass, or Sassy CSS, which I love when designing websites. If you guys want to get this as a step-by-step walkthrough, I actually created this as my latest article in my Python newsletter. I'm going to link that below. Okay, my newsletter is linked below, as well as a bunch of other resources dedicated to helping you grow in your Python journey. All right, so head on to the links below. Most of them are free. Check them out, all right, because they're all guided towards you guys and your learning path. Okay, I know why you're here. It's for authentication. So without further ado, let's dive into the episode. Okay, before we dive in, one minor detail that we want to get started is your virtual environment. I want you to imagine a virtual environment as a folder which is holding all your dependencies and packages within this cloud folder. Okay, so if I install Flask for this project, it's not going to be installed everywhere on your computer, okay, which takes up space. It's only going to be installed in this virtual environment. And this is a great practice, especially when working with Python. All we're going to do here is I'm going to Command J, open your terminal up, okay? Now, to get this running, I'm going to run here Python 3-m venv, which stands for virtual environment, and then the name of it. You could call it anything. For this, I'm going to call it Flask Auth because we're working with Flask authentication today. Give it a moment to do its thing. You'll notice up here it's created a folder. Okay, don't really worry about that. Once we're done here, we need to activate our environment. Now, I'm on a Mac. If you're on a Windows, it's slightly different, but I'm going to put that here, okay, the code that you could try to use. For me, I'm going to go source, type the name of the virtual environment we just created, /bin/activate, if I can spell activate right. Cool. Enter. You're going to notice the name of your virtual environment appear right here. So now I am in my virtual environment. Okay, if you want to turn this off, all you need to do is deactivate. And you notice that I'm now back outside of that. But I'm going to enter this again because I'm going to install the dependencies that we need for our Flask authentication application. Yeah, that sounded right. That was a mouthful. So inside here, if you don't already have it, well, you will not, because once again, we're in this virtual environment. So even if I have it globally, I'm still going to install it here. So I'm going to say pip install. We need three things for our app today. I'm going to say Flask. We need Flask. And then we really just need to get Flask SQL Alchemy here. Okay, so two things. I'm going to click enter. It's going to run. It's going to do its thing. Give it a moment. Okay, could not satisfy the version, as in versions of none. Okay, I'm gonna disregard that because currently no match. pip3 install. There we go. I don't know if I spelled it wrong, if I put it outside. Okay, I just reran it. It's now installing what we need. Okay, Cool. All right. Now that we have that, the final step before I jump into our authentication project is I'm going to type pip freeze greater than sign, and we're going to say requirements.txt. Click enter, and you're going to notice a file created here. Okay, so now anytime a person goes to use your application or run your application on their local environment, okay, they're going to see this requirements file and they'll know exactly what they're going to install in order to get the same outcome that we are having here today. All right, guys, that's the first step of setting up your virtual environment. Let's dive on in and let's make our Flask authentication app come to life. All right, guys, let's kick things off here with our Flask authentication. So I'm here in VS Code. I'm in my folder here, Flask auth I've created, and you can see everything is empty. All right, so I'm going to start to get things structured out. All right, I'm going to create a file called main.py. This will be our Python file. And I will make two folders for now. Although they're going to be empty, we need templates for all of our HTML. And then I'm going to create static, which is going to hold all of our Sass. I prefer that, right? SCSS, or just standard CSS files. Inside static, we could also have any JavaScript files that we would want inside an application like this. So to get things off, I'm just going to begin with our Flask import, and let's just get a basic hello world on the screen. This is just good for initial testing. So from Flask, we are going to import our Flask app, okay? I'm going to import everything else I need. So render template, which is going to allow us to put HTML templates on the screen. We are going to be making requests, get and post requests for our database. We will use redirect to redirect users to different pages. And for now, I'm going to stop there because I won't even use all these for quite a while. To set it up, okay, we can create an app object from our Flask class and pass in the name. All right. And then at the very bottom here, we're going to say if the name of the file is in our main file. Okay, we're going to say app I would like to run. Okay, now this would work, okay, standard practice is we put debug in here. Debug is true, which means when you click refresh on your Safari or Google Chrome, it's going to constantly update as long as you have your terminal running. All right, so if we just run this, nothing's really going to happen. I'm going to create a very quick app root, okay? So the first one is our home page, essentially. And for now, I'm just going to say index. All right, and we are just going to return a string. I'm just going to say testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's save that. I'm going to run that. Okay, all this should be linked up, but this is just a good place for us to begin. Okay, I'm going to click here our link. Cool, and we can see here testing 1, 2, 3. Everything is ready to go. Okay, so I'm going to minimize that now. Okay, I can keep the terminal running because that's what the debug is true for. All right, and let's actually begin to build some of this out. Okay, so I'm going to take us away from the Python real quick. I'm going to create our home file, okay? And let's just do index.html. Okay, so this will be the landing page. If you guys watch my Intro to Flask course, you would know about inheritance, or more specifically, HTML inheritance. So I'm going to create a parent file called base.html. Okay, so inside here is going to have our HTML boilerplate, and it's only needed in this base file. In index, I'll be able to inherit the boilerplate, so it's not repetitive. We don't need that anymore. Okay, so here I'm just going to give a title. I'm just going to say Flask Authentication. Okay, inside our bodies where we're going to put some things, let's give ourselves real quick a link. This will link to our CSS file. For now, I'm going to leave that emptied. Inside our body, I'm going to give a header, and I'm going to say here, subscribe to Code with Josh. You can put anything here, okay, but this will be displayed at the top of every page because this is in the base file. So if I have a home page, an about page, a contact me page, right? Typically, this would be like the navigation bar. Okay, in today's episode, it's just going to be this string of a header. Great. Then the only other thing we really need here is I'm going to install some Jinja, all right? But let's take our base HTML and I'm going to put it inside templates. And I can move index there now too. Okay, so you can see everything is now held in our templates folder. All right. Now, Jinja is like great for designers. It's like a language we can use specifically with Flask when working with HTML. So inside here, I'm going to use some Jinja. Okay, so this is our Jinja syntax. And I need to start the block of what's going to be passed in here. Okay, so I'm going to say my block, I'm going to call this body, right, because I'm in the body. And then this just needs a close. So I'm going to say end block. Okay, so really, I'm not going to put anything here, okay? But in my index file, anything I write is going to be passed into here and inherited. Okay, so I'm going to delete this. This is great. Our base HTML is all good to go for now. To get our index going, I'm going to go up here and type extends. And then I'm going to say base HTML. So this index is just an extension of the parent file, base HTML. We can go back to base, and I'm just going to copy these two blocks. All right. So really inside here now, I can write any other standard HTML. So for example, let's say like H1, hello everyone. Okay, let's close that out. All right, now in our Python file, let's try and connect our HTML, right? So right now you can see I'm just connecting everything, and if you want to jump ahead to see the authentication part, use the timestamps below, all right? This is good practice that we should know how to connect everything. All I need to do is change our text, and I'm going to return render template. Which template do I want to render? Index.html. Okay, let's open up that window again. Let's refresh our screen. Boom. And you can see now, okay, I have subscribed to Code with Josh. Hello, everyone. All right, so everything is ready to go. It's ugly, right? But I'm just putting things in place right now. Wonderful. Okay, let's start to build this out. I'm going to head back to our index. Okay, so on this page, we want to see an input field for a username, a password, a login button, as well as a register button. Okay, so I'm not going to say hello everyone. Okay, let's start to create some things. All right, so for me, you can write it here. Okay, I don't have the extension turned on. That's going to make everything look pretty. So I'm just going to take my index file and put it on the outside of the templates, just while I code this out. Okay, so I'm going to create a div. Okay, and I'm going to give this a class name of, let's say, container. And this will come into play for styling later. Okay, so within my div, I could create an H1 field, and we are just going to say welcome. So everyone's going to be able to see this. And I'm going to create a form. So in this form, this is where it's going to hold all the information of which the user inputs. Okay, so I am going to give this an action. Well, I'm just going to leave that blank for now. Let me just get everything going. We are going to have an input here, an input here. So I'm going to have 4 inputs, essentially. Okay, 2 of these inputs will be text. Okay, so if I give this one a name of like, let's call this one username. I'm going to say a placeholder, and I'm just going to say username again, so they can see this. The next type is not text. This is going to be a password. So this will make it more unique. I'm going to say name. We're going to say password. Placeholder is also going to be password. And let's give these 2 subclasses. Let's just say input field. And both of these, I'm going to close that so it's on one. Both of these are going to have the same class. Okay, cool. So we have that input. If I zoom out, is that going to go back to 1 line for us? No, it's still in 2 lines. It's fine. The other ones are going to be buttons. Okay, they're not going to be text. So the first button is going to be to log in, submit. Okay, the other one's going to be for register, which doesn't have standard HTML stuff, so I'm going to say button. But a submit is also a type of button. We are going to give this a value of login, okay?
And then we are also going to give this a class. Okay, I'm going to say button and then also button login. Okay. For the other one, we're going to say values equal to register. This will give the user the ability to register. And we can just take these and we're going to paste these here. Okay. So really, if we open up that now, okay, we refresh our screen. Okay, well, you see I'm throwing this error now. That's my fault, right? I don't have my index file inside templates, so I'm going to replace that. Okay, now when we refresh here, there we go. Okay, so welcome, I have my username field, password, okay, login and register. All right, but you can see it's not doing anything, which is fine. All right, nothing is connected. Okay, so this looks all right. Let's minimize that again. Okay, additionally, I'm going to create a final HTML file. This is going to be the dashboard. So when the user logs in, this is what they're going to see, all right? And it's going to be unique for this user. Why is that not extending? There we go. Okay. So if I create a user called Josh, it is just going to say, welcome, Josh. If you create one with a different name, it's going to use the information from our database, it's going to pull it, and it's going to display that here. Okay, so if we carry things on, I'm going to carry on with the same thing of a container. Okay, so we're creating that div, all right. Inside here, I'm going to create an h1 tag, and we are going to say welcome, comma, I'm going to insert some Jinja. So I want to display the person's name, which once we capture this, this will be the person's username. Okay, so I'm essentially creating a variable right now that we will pass information to at a later stage. Okay, and I could do something like that. All right, so welcome username. I'm going to give a paragraph tag here, okay, and we can just say, welcome to your dashboard. Okay, that's not a h1, p tag, cool. And then our last one's going to be an anchor tag, which is going to link us back. So I'm going to turn this into a button, all right? And this will be the ability for that user to log out at a later stage. All right, so this is going to take an href. Where do I want to link to? For now, I'm just going to keep this blank, okay? This is going to be a button, and I'm going to say button log out. Okay, just like so. All right, awesome. So our 3 pages are taken care of. Okay, we're not going to use dashboard for a little bit. We are done with base HTML, right? And then index, we are going to expand on this at a later point, okay? But let's dive in and write some Python, okay? This is where we want to begin building out the home page and the login capabilities. So we're just about to start actually building out our database. Okay, let's get index taken care of. This is just going to be called home now. All right, it's not my index, it's just home. And I'm going to do a check real quick. So if the username that I have is currently in a session, this means that they are logged in. Okay, and you can see sessions underlined, so I'm actually going to bring that in now. All right, and I want you to think of a session, right? That just means you have your own session and I have my own. This just means if we're logged in, I want to show something different. Okay, so actually what I'm going to return here is I want to redirect the user to see a different page. So I'm going to say URL 4, okay, and this is going to be taken to the dashboard, right? And URL 4, we're just going to bring up here as well. Okay, so if we're logged into a current session, I don't want to see the home page. I want to see my unique dashboard. Otherwise, I'm going to return my index page. Okay, so this is the same. I didn't change too much. If I run this and we go back, okay, then we're just going to see the same thing. You see I have an error, actually. If after line 8, well, that was taken care of. Okay, so I'm going to trash that. I'm going to run my code in a moment once we get our database all set up. Okay, so the next thing is, speaking of this database, let's start to get it going. All right, now for security, I'm actually going to say from, where are we at here? There we go. This module is our security module, okay? And I'm going to bring in two things. I'm going to bring in our generate password hash. So this is essentially, imagine if I enter a password, 123. This is going to create a different version of that to store in my database, okay? So it's not actually 123, it's going to hash it out. And then I'm going to use one that's going to unhash it to check the password when I try to re-enter it. So it's basically encrypting and decrypting our password. All right. Now that's the security level of it. Now we're going to tap into, and I'm going to say Flask SQL Alchemy. I love SQL Alchemy. That's what we're going to use here. It's great and easy to spin up right out of the box. All we need to import is the SQL Alchemy class. Okay. Now, to start to get things going, I'm gonna label some things here. So I'm gonna put here roots. Okay, we are gonna make our database model. Okay, so I'll put that here. I'll explain a model here momentarily. Initially, I'm gonna take my app. Okay, and I'm gonna give it a secret key. Now you're gonna replace this with something else. So I'm literally just gonna say for now your secret key. Okay, don't use that. That's not safe. All right, and then we need to configure SQL Alchemy to work with Flask. Okay, so I'm going to say app.config. All right, and inside here, I'm going to say SQL Alchemy underscore database underscore URI. Okay, so today we're going to use a SQLite database. We could replace this with another type. All right, this is just easy and it's built for Python. All right, now I'm going to give the name of my database, users.db. You can call that anything you want to, okay? I'm just calling mine users as long as it ends in the extension of db, okay? The final step of my app configuration is we're going to say app config again, okay? And I'm going to say SQL Alchemy track modifications. Did I spell it correctly? Modifications. Yep. This is going to be set to false. Okay. I don't want to track anything. So you get your own database. I get my own. We're not trying to store that. All right. This is great. All right. Now let's make sure SQL Alchemy is configured. The one thing we haven't actually done yet, okay, is I need to create the database. So DB is equal to SQL Alchemy class that we imported, and I'm going to give this my app. So I'm creating a database for our application. All right, this is great. Our final check to get our database set up over here in our file structure is going down to the bottom. I'm just going to say with my app.appContext, I'm going to say db.createAll. Okay. I'm going to run our code, and ideally we are going to create a database from this. So everything should be set up, ready to go. This is the check. Good, okay. So over here is a folder, okay, and you can see it's called instance. Here's the database being created. When we click on that, there's nothing in it, that's fine, okay, but we have the database all set up. I can run my app again, boom, and there we go. Same application as last time, okay? So we're on the right path, all right? Now we need to look at how we can add to our database. Okay, so we need to create a class model. Now, a model, it's not a model airplane, it's not a model car, all right? I get that this word model doesn't really correspond to that, but a model is going to represent a single row in our database. So every user is going to have their own model, and within this model, we are going to have a unique ID for each user so we can tell the users apart. We are going to have a username and a password. So I need a model for three things. It's going to be a folder, a class for three things. I'll create a class here. We're going to say user. I'm going to inherit my database.model. So we made our database here. Okay, so model is from SQL Alchemy. I'm creating a model from that. Let's make this a little smaller for you. Okay, so I'm going to give a space here. Let's just focus on the model. We are going to put our class variables here. Okay, so what does the model need to thrive. We need an ID for each person. We need a user name for each person. And we need a password for each person. Okay? So these are going to be like the header names in our database. Okay? My database is going to have 3 columns: ID, username, password. All right? So for each of these, I'm going to create a column within our database. I'm just going to copy this because each of these are their own column. Okay. Now, what type of data is the ID going to be? It's going to be an integer. Okay. And I'm going to say primary key is equal to true. This is going to mean we aren't going to make the ID. It's going to be uniquely identified and created. You can see I'm getting some compilation errors. This is fine for now. Did I spell column wrong? No, column is fine. Okay, what type of data is our username going to be? So it's actually going to be a string, okay? And inside here, how many characters could the username be? I mean, I'm going to say 25. If you're making a username longer than 25, what are you doing? All right. I'm going to say unique is equal to true. So no 2 people can have the same username. That doesn't make sense. And we're going to say nullable is equal to false. Can this be empty? No. You need to have a username in this database. Okay. Our password is also going to be a string. Okay. Inside here, sure, if you want to make a password of 150 characters, I do not care. And then nullable, this cannot be empty. Now we need to actually do 2 things. We need to set the password. Okay. So I'm going to put pass. And then we also need the ability to check the password to confirm when a user is logging in that they have entered the correct password. Okay, so for now, I'm going to put pass. Let's fix that. Cool. So in order to set the password, okay, this method is going to take the password variable right here that we created. We're going to give it to this method when we call it. All right. So I'm going to create a property called password hash. All right. This is going to be equal to generate password hash, and I'm going to give it our password. That's it. So this check password up here, so check password hash, this is going to be a Boolean. It's going to return to us a Boolean. Is the password entered correct? True. If not, false. All right. So we're going to say self. We're going to give this one a password as well. And because it's going to return true or false, we're just going to say return check password hash, and it takes 2 things. The first one is going to be the actual password hash that we made, and then we're going to give it the password as well. Okay, just like so. So our class user, our model, is completed. When a user types in their username and password, it's going to be added to this model, and this model is the one that's going to be sent off to our database. Okay, remember that this is a single row within our DB, our database. Okay, very nice. It's now time to start adding the ability to log a user in and register a new user. So to clear things up, I'm going to trash my terminal. Okay, let's focus on the roots, and I'm going to come back to that. Okay, everything should be connected properly. We have our roots. So this is the home. We need a login root. We need a register root. We need a dashboard root. And we need the logout mechanism. Okay, so let's begin with login, okay? Now we won't see anyone until we register a user, okay? But we do need a route for this, okay? So I'm going to say here our route is going to be login, okay? And we're going to give it methods. So what can this route do? What type of methods can we do? Are we sending information or are we receiving information? Well, if we're logging in, we're sending information. Okay, so let's create a root called login. Okay, and we're going to go through the steps here. So what do you think we need to do for this root? What checks do we need to do? We need to collect the info from the form, and we need to check if it's in the DB. Right, because we want to log them in. Okay, otherwise, show the home page because they are not a user in the database. Okay, so collecting information, what do we want to collect? Well, we're going to collect our username and we're going to collect our password. Now, we are going to make a request. Okay, so I'm going to say request.form. Now, the form, I'm going to go back here, so save, well, doesn't matter, save index, okay? We are targeting username and we are targeting password. Okay, so in my form, what does this represent? Our username. Okay, the other one, we're just going to say request.form, and we're going to target our password. Okay, so we now need to check if these two are in our database. But remember, we just got done building out this class, our model. So we are going to create an object of this model and make a query to our database to check for this username. Okay, if the user's name is there, then we can check for the password. Let's create an object. So user is equal to our user class. This is the one we just made together. And I'm going to make a query, and I would like to filter by. Okay, so we're going to filter by. What do we want to filter by? Well, the username. So username is equal to the username that we just got. Okay, and specifically, we are just going to go in order. So the first username and just bounce through our database. All right, so if user, okay, so if the user is in our database and we need to check the password. Okay, so how do I use this method? I'm going to say object.checkPassword. Okay, and inside there, we are just going to give it our password that we created in line 39 right here. Okay, so we're doing that. So if this is true and the password check comes back true, okay, we are going to log the user in. Okay, that's really it. And because we don't have the register ability, I'm going to put pass for a second. Otherwise, what does that mean? Well, okay, we are just going to return, I'm going to copy this actually. We're just going to return the home page. We're going to do nothing. The user is going to stay on the home page if they are not in our database. Okay? All right, so going back here, so if the user is in our database, all right, we want to create a new session specifically for that user. It's a unique session. So welcome Josh, welcome you, welcome dog. Okay, so it's a page that only you are going to see that's unique to you. So I'm going to create a session. All right, and in the session, we are going to create one for the username, and this is just equal to whatever username we collected. Okay, I can return. Let's now redirect the user to see something else. This is the URL for which page? Dashboard. Just like that. Okay, so this is the login ability, right? So I actually did everything there together. All right. If we run this, well, I'll run it. Okay. We don't have the login ability because my database is empty. Okay. There you go. Okay. So it's empty. If I say champ, okay, and I put a password dog login, one thing, the buttons aren't connected. You can see it refreshes, right? But we haven't connected any buttons or done anything like that. Speaking of that, let's actually connect those buttons, okay? So let's head back here to our index page. Inside here, we're going to change our form around. So I'm going to give an ID to my form, okay? Let's just call this auth form. This is the authentication form, okay? Additionally in here, the action. So what is this action for? All right, this action is a URL for our login page. Okay, so the information we collect is the login page. And then finally here, I'm going to say method is equal to what are we trying to do? This is a post method. I'm going to send information off to my database. Okay, so ideally, this is what's going to connect it. once we're inside our database. All right, so I know you're all wondering now, Josh, how do I get inside the database? Well, let's make a route to now register you in your database. Okay, guys, if you're getting value from this, do me a favor, drop me a like and subscribe. That really does help me as a growing channel reach more students around the world. And I'm having a blast making this. I hope you're having a blast and you're learning a lot. So drop me a like, subscribe, and let me know your thoughts so far on this project. So the ability to register. All right, we're going to create, once again, a new root. Okay, Flask is all about the roots. Let's create it and let's call it register. Okay, we are going to give it a methods, right? So what are we trying to do here? Okay, really, we're just trying to send information. Okay, so ideally, we have to do some checks, just like we did before. All right, so I'm going to go up here. I'm actually going to copy these 2 lines. We're going to bring them, well, I have to make it first. So register. Okay, so if we try and register, we need to first check that the user is not already in our database. Okay, because if they are, we cannot register them in the database. All right, so we can actually just take the object we created as well. Okay, and we are just going to say if user. Okay, so what does that mean? That means if the user is true, if the user is already in the database. If that's the case, we are going to just render template. We are just going to render our index.html. And you can just give a nice little error message if you want, like user already here. Cool. Else, this is the fun stuff now. Okay, so else the user is not there. So we need to create a new user. All right, this is going to be an object. All right, so we're going to tap into our user class. And we are going to go here and say user. What do we need to give it? Well, we're just going to give it our username. Okay, so I'm going to say username is equal to our username. Okay. We're going to tap into new user. You're probably wondering why, Josh. You just gave it a username. Where's the password? Well, guys, remember, we want to give a unique password. So I'm going to call this method right now. This method will pass in our password to the model. Okay? So let's call that method. Let's take our new user and let's say set password. All right? Inside there, we're just going to give it password. Okay, so these two are now used. All right, now that we have a username and a password, we can prepare to send it to our database. So db.session, I would like to add. What are we going to add here? We're going to add the new user. All right, we are going to say db.session. What do we want to do now? We want to commit this new user to our database. We're sending the information off to our user's database. Okay. Now that the user is in our database, we can create a new session for that user. So session username is equal to username. And then we can redirect this new user to the dashboard. Okay, so redirect URL 4, inside there we're going to put dashboard. Wow. Okay, guys, this is really, really great. Okay, so you could run this, all right, but I want to connect one more thing, all right? So I don't believe it's actually going to work properly. Let's just try. Okay, so I'm going to say champ, that's my dog. We're going to make the password now 1, 2, 3, 4. Register. You can see nothing happens. Okay, login. Well, I just lost the whole connection. Okay, so it's not actually registering correctly. All right, and you can see I actually have an error. Do I have an error? No, I'm going to disregard that. Okay, it just crashed on me. That's fine. I was not in that file there. So in order to prevent this, okay, I want to go to our index page because we have two things going on. If we're just using Python, I have a login mechanism and then I have a register mechanism. This can be done with pure Python, okay, but I don't want to create 2 pages for login and register. That's a lot of redundancy. That's very repetitive. So we can actually link a little bit of JavaScript in here. So we only need 1 page, okay? Let's go into our index, all right? And I'm going to go down here at the bottom after our div. Okay, and for simplicity for me, I'm going to bring this outside again. Okay, you don't have to do that. Yours might be set up differently. And I'm going to create a script. Okay, so this is all JavaScript now. All right. I'm going to create a JavaScript function, and I'm going to call this setActionForm. This function is going to take our form. Okay. So what do I want this function to do? It's going to check if the action we clicked, if the button we clicked is the login button or the register button. Okay, so I'm gonna create a variable here. All right, and let's just create a variable called form. Right now, this variable I'm going to say document.getElementById. This is what's going to target these classes, right? Everything that we've kind of put here. And more specifically, I want to target this ID. Okay, so auth form, I'm going to actually just take that, and we want to get the form of this page. Okay, so form is now equal to this whole form. Okay, this is our JavaScript. I'm going to create a condition here, and we're going to say if the action is equal to login. Okay, so that's one action. The other one's going to be our register action. We're going to take our form, and we're going to say action. I'm going to say equal, let's put in some Jinja now. So this Jinja, it's not coming up colored, right, because we are outside my templates folder. This is a URL for the login page. Okay, take your form, we're going to do form method is equal to a post method, trying to send information. And then we can take our form and we're going to submit our form. Okay, I'm going to say else if the action is now equal to register. Let's just do the same thing. So form.action is equal to our Jinja URL for. Okay, what is this a URL for? Well, this is a URL for register. Okay, what are we trying to do here? We are trying to post information. So let's send that information off, and then we're going to say form.submit that information again. I'll save it, get everything right. Okay, so this is our function, and we are taking the entire HTML form right here, and we are determining what the action was. What did I click? Oh, speaking of that, I'm not giving it form. I need to give it an action, okay? And if the action is login, okay, so this guy, then we're going to do something. I'm going to show the login page. Else we're trying to register. Cool. So inside input, okay, let's give an event. I'm going to say on click, not on change, sorry, click. So if I try to click, which function, I want to call this function right here actually, okay, set action form. And inside there, what is this action going to be? So this is going to be our login. Now I want you guys to see this better, so let me take this now. Okay, so index is going back to my templates folder. Yours should be there. Okay, so there we go. Okay, I can see my Jinja down here. I still have my JavaScript. This action is corresponding to login. I'm just going to copy this. Okay, we're going to paste it after the next one. The only difference is we're not trying to log in. We are trying to register our user. Oh, okay. I'm hoping I'm error-free. Let's do some tests. Okay, so I'm going to return to my main file. We are going to run our main file. All right, let's go through it. Okay, so I'm going to say code. That's just the username. Password 1234. I'm going to click login. We can see it's not there. That's still working correctly. Okay, so now let's try it and let's click register 1234. Register. Okay, so something happened. I'm going to click save password, get that off there. All right, I do need to go through now. Okay, so I'm getting an error with, yeah, that SQL error was fine. Database session commit in register. All right, Okay, so let's see. Create new user, set password, we're adding and committing. Everything here is running, so it must be coming from my model. Let's see, ID, username, here we go. I'm calling a password, it is getting confused. This should be our property password hash. Okay, so these two are working together. All right, so password hash. Let me trash that and run that again. Okay, I want that error to go away. Okay, let's try that again. Champ 1, 2, 3, 4 register. Okay, so register reset. Let's do that again. Champ. And we're gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4 login. Okay. So looks like we're good. The only thing, right, is it's not taking us to a dashboard page. That's fine, because look at this. In a few places you can see I'm redirecting for dashboard. This is not the dashboard HTML file. This is the dashboard route right here as well, right? So I'm trying to go to all these different routes. Where's the other one? Right here. But we don't actually have it yet. So let's just build that very quickly. That won't take long. Okay, if we make a route for this, we're going to say this. We're going to say dashboard. Okay, all we need to do for this function, dashboard, we're going to come here and say if username is in a session, okay, we are going to return render template, not ret run. What is ret run? Return. This is where we're going to give it our dashboard.html. Okay. Additionally, if you remember in dashboard, here is username. So I need to give a value to this variable we made here. Okay. So I'm going to jump in here and I'm going to say username, that is the variable, is equal to, let's say, session username, whatever username we got from our database. Okay. Otherwise, if the user is not there, we are going to redirect them to which route? Well, the home page. Okay, so I'm just going to tap in here, home. Okay, let's retry that. Okay, refresh, send. Am I going to get a crash? Nope. Okay. Bob, 1, 2, 3, register, send. There. Look at that, guys. Welcome, Bob. Welcome to your dashboard. That's amazing. You can see here, I can't log out. Okay, that's nowhere to be found. So let's quickly build out this log out mechanism. Okay. But yeah, so Bob is in our database. Okay, this is great. You've added yourself. All right. Let me check dashboard here. Okay, so in dashboard, I'm just going to change a few things. We are now going to say log out. We're going to close that anchor tag like so. Okay, my href I can now expand. So what is this a URL for? This is going to be a URL for our logout route, which we don't have. Okay, so I have put the logout text. I will see the word logout now. Okay, and this is going to be for a route called logout, which if we just head to our file, we're just going to make one. We're going to say app.route. Okay, log out. There, we just made the route. So now it has something to read and route to. Okay, I want you to view a session. So right here, is the user in a session? I want you to view that like a list, like Bob, Champ, Josh. So each user is a session, okay? And it's like an object or an element in a list, okay? Because all we need to do to log them out is just pop them off the list. That's it. So if I take my session and I use the Python function pop, okay, cool. What are we popping? I'm popping the username. So for example, here we go. Goodbye, Josh. He's left the session. Okay. I'll say here none. Okay, so that's really the mechanism of log out. If we log out, where do we want to redirect the user to? Well, probably the home page. So I'll say home. Okay, just like so. Delete that list. Okay, let's fire that back up. So let me refresh this. Lost connection. Did I crash it? Nope. Just rerun it. It's fine. There we go. Log out. Click it. Back to our home page. Let's create a new user. Josh. Password is going to be code. Log in. Nope, he's not there. Okay, so trying again. Let's register Josh. Josh, code, register. Welcome, Josh. Okay, let's log out. Let's try again. I'm going to log in this time. Josh, code, login. Welcome, Josh. So I'm now saved in my database. All right, this is amazing, guys. Now, the functionality that we've gone through here together, I'm going to trash my terminal. Okay, I have taken you guys from A to T. I've taken you from A to T because we got our database set up. I introduced a model, a database model. Remember, this is just a row in your database. And then we went through and we designed different routes of our page. We have the home route, the ability to log in, the ability to register, a dashboard for a unique user. And we talked about a lot about these sessions, right? You get your own session and I get my own session. This is great. Guys, the app was so ugly, right? Is it still up? It's still up. It's awful. Let's style this, okay? So here is going to be where I'm going to implement all my Sass, my sassy CSS to bring this web page to life, okay? Let's do it. So I'm going to close down here. Let's open our static folder. I'm going to create a file called styles.scss. If you don't want to use SCSS, you don't have to. You can use standard CSS here. It's going to work the same. Okay? Now, I'm going to leave the instructions for Sass in the description below. Okay? If you haven't worked with it before, all right, you're going to do two things. One, you can head over to extensions and you can type in SCSS. Nope. Sass. There we go. It's the second one, okay? You can install this on VSCode, all right? Additionally, don't skip this or it won't work. In the link in the description, I'm going to put 2 steps. You need to install an outside extension on VSCode right here. I've given you the code to do so. Super straightforward and easy, okay? Once you have that second extension installed, in your Sass file, you should see this icon at the bottom. Watch Sass. Okay, I want you to watch what happens. When I click this, it made a map and it mapped over everything and then it creates a CSS file. You don't have to touch this CSS file. You're going to write code normally, for example, body, background color, just aqua, whatever, save. It's going to map over and here it automatically fulfills it for you. Okay, so don't worry about that. All right, I'm going to shut everything down. We can keep our index open. Okay, so let's focus now on our styling in our Sass file. I'm going to delete body because that is ugly. Okay, so if you guys missed my introduction to Flask, I also covered Sass. All right, and I love Sass for 2 reasons. One, I can create variables for CSS, and I can use those variables around. And then 2 is nesting. I can nest. So for example, if I have a big parent container, I can then put inside the container styling elements which affect the overall container as well as individual elements. All right, guys, if you're enjoying this, do me a favor, drop me a like, smash that subscribe button. Let me know your thoughts on this long form content. Okay, so I already have variables prepared. So I'm going to say variables. And I'm going to drop those in for you guys. Okay, so this is what a Sass variable looks like. In order to create one, you just use the $sign, okay? Call it whatever you want, okay? 2 dots, and then what's the value of this? So for example, 10 pixels. I don't know why I'd say that. So then anywhere I wanted to give like font size, okay, well, it's not working yet because I have to do body. Let's do a tag real quick. Let's do font size. I could then just use the variable call like that. Okay, I'm going to delete call. I already have the ones I need, which is mostly just colors. All right. we're going to put here styling. Cool. So I'm not going to dive into too much about this. Okay, I'm going to go through. I'm going to assume you have a little background with CSS. Okay. So I'm going to delete the body, and we're just going to go through. So I'm going to give it a background color. I'm going to give it, I don't know why, I like to give wheat. It's just not white. I think white's a bit basic. Did I say background color? I did. So here, ideally, I'm just going to change this to actually say wheat. Okay. Because I should be using my variables, because then I can just change them up top without affecting everything. There we go. So background color. Font family, I'm just going to choose here. Ooh, this one's cool. Color, I believe I have what? Text color? Text color. See, that just goes in like so. We're going to display flex, flexbox, right? Flex direction, column. The height's going to be the whole screen, so viewer height, okay, VH, it'll occupy everything. Margin for background, we always give a 0, or for the body, excuse me. Then text align, we're going to say center. Okay, so let's kind of see what we're doing here. So is my app running? It's not. I'm going to run my app so we can just compare as we go through the CSS, because sometimes it's a pain in the ass. All right. Okay, so we don't see too much. You see a little things happening like my font, hopefully. Okay, so returning here now, I'm not going to put anything else in the body, okay? Inside our base HTML, okay, I have a header with subscribe to Code with Josh, right? So I'm going to say here, I have header, excuse me. I'm going to say width, this will occupy 100% of the screen. The background color for this is going to be container BG color. Okay, we are going to give a box shadow here. Okay, so I'm going to say 0, let's say 4 pixels by 8 pixels, and then you're going to give a color, so like RGBA. A is the opacity, excuse me. I'm going to delete these because you can see I'm using the variables for Sass here. I'm just going to hard code this one 0, 0, 0, and the opacity will be 0.1. Okay. Cool, and then padding, we're going to say add some little padding around this. We are going to say 20 pixels by 0. Okay, okie dokie. This should be good. Let's view that now. Okay, refresh. Ooh, you can see it's actually not even registering. And additionally, right, my background color is not registering. This is fine. I didn't connect it, all right? I should have caught that like 5 minutes ago. Let's go to our base HTML. Okay, inside the href, let's use some Jinja. Okay, so URL for, what is this a URL for? I need to give 2 things this time. The first one is the name of the folder, and then the second one is going to be the name of the file. So we are not connecting SCSS, just put CSS, right? Because when I return here, everything we did is automatically converted for us. Okay, so now when I run this, okay, you can see file name error. That's okay. That's okay. Let's go to dashboard very quickly. Did I get a bug here? Why is that throwing that? Well, probably because, Josh, you forgot a comma. Okay, run that again. Boom. Okay. There we go. I can see things starting to come to life now. Okay. So you can see my header up top, my background color is being applied. All right. Let's continue to build this out. All right. So returning to my Sass file. Okay. Here is the other advantage. So inside my header, what does my header contain? It contains an H1. You can see I'm nesting that within my header because it also applies. So margin is going to be 0. We're going to say a font size of 2.5 rems. There we go. And we'll say color is our property, our variable, excuse me, text color. Okay, cool. Returning to our page, refresh. All right, so text color looks good. Very, very, very nice. Okay. Carrying on, I'm going to apply main. Okay, I'm just going to display flex, justify content, align items, flex of 1, and a width of 100%. Okay, cool. Now we can tap into our container. So ideally, most things on our page are held in our container class. Okay, so let's first off style the overall container. So BG color is going to be container background color. Border radius is going to be 8 pixels, rounded edges of this container. Box shadow is going to be 0, 4 pixels. I could copy this. Pixels, and that color I previously used, I'm just going to take that. Okay, cool. Padding, we're going to give a padding of 30 pixels. We're going to say the max width of this box, I don't want it to be too big, right? So 400, we can apply a width of 100% of that occupancy, and we're going to say a margin of 50 px and auto. It'll adjust itself. Now that's the overall container. So anything that has this container, which is our dashboard, has the container, if I'm on that page, or the index also has that container, okay? So carrying on with container, okay, I'm just gonna continue on. So we have H1. The H1 is gonna say font size, again of 2.5 rem. Colors are text color. Margin bottom. Okay, so H1 is done. So let me just go through, I'm gonna type these out, okay? So font size for that, okay, I don't need to talk through all this anymore. Okay, test this, refresh. Cool, looking good, I'm gonna log out. Okay, there we go. So let me adjust these now, because it still looks ugly, right? But we can see things starting to come to life here. All right, so continuing on, inside our index, what did I call that? Class input field inside of our auth form. So everything, well, our input field. So that's what I want to target now, okay? So we're going to jump in here, input fields. Let's give a color to the border. Color, 333. Bit dark, that's cool, I like it. Border radius, we can say 1 pixel. Now, you're not even going to see 1 pixel. What am I talking about? 4 pixels. Font size, 0.5 rem. Box sizing. Cool. Cool, I'm going to add one more. So when this is on focus, so and focus. So when the mouse essentially hovers over the box, we're going to say border color. Do I have a primary hover color? I guess primary color. And then the outline, we're going to give none. Okay, let's do a check. Oh, look at that. Oh, and you can see, look, when I click, the box goes blue. Everything's looking great. Okay, now the buttons. What did I call the buttons? We have a class, a main class of button, and then we have a subclass for each specific button. So let's start with our main class. Outside of input fields. Okay, we'll start targeting the buttons. Okay, so the button width is going to be 100, padding of a 10. Play around with these numbers, guys. Okay, CSS takes a while, but this is the real design part. Okay, border of the button, I guess none. We'll add a hover effect to the button. Border radius again, we can do our 4 pixels as we did in the above. Font size 1 rem. Oops, okay, cursor pointer, that's fine. And we're going to do a transition here. So transition, we're going to change the color. Oh, no. This should be background color. Apply, 0.3 seconds with an ease in. Just ease in and out is what that's doing. Okay, now we're going to give the sub button. So, and let's apply additional styling to the button, what did I call those? Button login and button, button register. This should be button register. Okay, button login and button register. So button login. is going to have a background color of our primary color. Cool. And then the color of the text can be like FFF. Okay, cool. So inside the button login, when the button login is on a hover state, we are then going to change the background color to our hover color, primary hover color, just like that. Okay, I'm actually going to copy these because they're kind of identical. Okay, drop down here. We're going to say button register for this one. Register, register. Changing the primary color to the green I have here. So secondary color. And we're going to do secondary hover color. Cool. Before I leave you guys, all right, we are going to do our logout button here. Okay. If I'm not mistaken, dashboard. Yeah, it still has the main class of button. That's good. Okay, so let's make sure we're outside there. I'm going to say, well, honestly, just paste what I have. Button log out. Okay, background color. I think these are fine. Let's just check it. I mean, that looks pretty good. Like that's pretty good. I changed the styling around a little bit. You can see that. Okay. But if I go in here and I say Josh, what did I make the password? Was it like 1, 2, 3? I said code, right? Josh code, login. Boom, look at that. Welcome, Josh. This is your dashboard. You can log out now. This, guys, was the introduction to Flask authentication, right? I'm going to say here, subscribe, right? Now is the password. Register. Welcome, subscribe. Did you guys subscribe? Do me a favor, drop me a like, drop me a comment. What did you guys think of this video, okay? This is the introduction to authentication, and I'm gonna lead you guys into using OAuth with Flask. So the ability to log in with Google or Facebook or GitHub. That's what we're gonna talk about here shortly.
Whoa, there you have it, guys. That is our interactive steps for secure authentication in Flask. Now, today was only about databases, creating your own database, which if you log on to any site, that's key. But if you also log on to any platform, you notice that you have the ability to maybe log on with Google or Facebook or GitHub. And that is something I want to talk about in a coming episode for you guys, how to incorporate authentication with OAuth. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, hit the like button. If you're not subscribed, what are you doing? Help me out, subscribe, as I am a growing channel. And feel free to drop any questions that you might have. Drop me your thoughts. What videos would you like to see going forward? All right, I'm always open for a good discussion. That's about all we had in today's episode. I hope you enjoyed this longer form content, and I cannot wait to see you guys back here next week in another episode of Code with Josh. Until then, Python crew, have an awesome week.